Sister Sarah will always carry our lives within her eyes. She sang a song of thousand rain. We play shadows in our dreams. Recall a symphony of sleep. Never knowing what it means. Beneath our skin we shine like whisper, scream frantic to the night. We shine like whisper, explode 1,000 lights. We shine like whisper. Explode 1,000 lights. She swam the velvet forest of doubters and saints, fallen like the death of sunrise. No wagon train tonight. Life could never be as sweet as the ground beneath her feet. Beneath our skin we shine like whisper, scream frantic to the night. We shine like whisper, explode 1,000 lights. We shine like whisper. Explode 1,000 lights.
Yeah, I should be live, all being well now, and sort of visible on screen and all that carry on. It looks like it's working. So yes, hello, welcome to Near Futurist TV episode, what is it, 26 I said. I bet it isn't really, you know. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's actually episode 27, but there you go. Right, yes, so we're going to be having a chat with Chris Cyanide shortly. First of all, we need to know a little bit about what he's all about, don't we? And sorry about the sound quality today. I need to fix that for next time. I need to possibly use a different mic or have it a bit closer. It's a bit roomy, isn't it? Anyway, yes, as you know, I'm Derek Anthony Williams anyway. Yeah, if you're following me on Facebook, you're seeing it live on there for the first time today. This is in UK, of course it is in UK, Jenna. Yes, anyway, right, yeah, I'm going to play you a bit of Chris Cyanide now, and then hopefully after that we'll have a chat with him. But I've got a little bit of a problem tonight in that one of my USB sockets on my PC isn't working, so that's a little bit frustrating, I have to say. Right, anyway, Chris Cyanide, let's have a bit of him, yes, because that's who's the focus tonight. the earlier technical issues, but welcome to
I'm good.
Near Futurist TV, now with added dog, I assume.
Oh yeah, that's Pelusa, which means hairy in Spanish.
Ah,
But
right.
she's an old girl. She's 15 years old.
Gosh, really showing some longevity there. Right,
Yeah, yeah.
this isn't meant to be Neo Futurist Pet TV Talk TV, so we need to talk about Chris Cyanide bass solo project. As looking forward very much to playing New York with you. So it's quite unusual to find someone doing sort of focusing on the bass guitar, and so I guess we should start with that idea. What made you want to focus on the bass rather than say guitar?
Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously, I am a bass player. Been playing bass. Actually, I haven't been playing bass that long. I'm actually originally a guitar player, and
Right.
I would say, oh man, about 2006, around that time. I owned a bass and had a bass amp. I recorded my own songs and tracks and things, so I had the bass obviously laying around. But somebody asked me if I could play bass in a Black Sabbath tribute band, and I said, sure, that's easy. I can play Geezer Butler. And so I took the job, and I found out it wasn't as easy as I thought. There is a lot to Geezer Butler's playing, which I didn't realize. But that's where I really honed my skill as a bass player. And then somebody handed me a 6-string bass. And I was like, wow, this is all right. This is perfect because I'm a guitar player. This 6 strings feels a little more natural to me. So I went with that for a while, and then I was just bouncing around. I did a lot of other things. I was doing progressive metal bands, and along with the Sabbath tribute band, and doing some other things. And I would say around 2017, I just kind of got fed up with the music scene a little bit, and needed to take a leave and hiatus from music. And within that time, I had, I was still not, I wasn't playing with bands, but I had this old 16 digital track recorder that I bought in 2005 and kind of shelved. So I started playing around with this thing, and I was making these industrial tracks, drum tracks, and synth sounds with FL Studio, and just putting bass riffs and doing different things over it. And it was just a goof. It was just something to keep me busy at home while I just kind of took my leave of absence from music for a while. And I played it for a few friends, and they said, wow, this is actually pretty good. And I was like, really? You like this? And they're like, yeah, you should do something with it. I don't know. And then a friend contacted me and was like, yeah, I heard one of your tracks. Let's do a video for it, which is the video you just played.
Yeah.
With the 8-string Beast thing. And that it was meant as a goof. It's just me running around my backyard and in the cemetery across the street from my house. And it's just me running around with the bass. And he recorded it, edited it, put the little bit of the B in there. And he put the video out, and it got a nice reception, which I was kind of shocked about. Yeah, because it's poorly, like musically, it's just a really rough edit that I did on the 16-track recorder, and it's not a Hollywood quality video. It's just me goofing around, and it got a lot of views, and which I was shocked about, and I would say. I just kept writing and just kept experimenting with this stuff, and I kind of was starting to get the itch to play out again. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to play out, how am I going to do this? I'm used to playing with a band, full band, and I had this old DJ mixer that was just sitting around collecting dust. I said, well, I could just put my tracks onto a CD and play it through a PA system and just lug my bass rig and do a show like that. So I tried that out for the first time in Queens, New York, at a place called Gussie's Bar, and that place was shut down due to COVID, but which a lot of places were.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so I played my first show there, and it was a pretty good show. I had a lot of friends and family come out to support, some old band members and things. They came out, and one of the guys was like, "Listen, I dig what you're doing. How can I be involved somehow?" And he was a guy I used to perform with in another band. He was a dancer. I said, "Well, if you want, you could stand behind the DJ mixer and man the DJ mixer while I play play the songs." And it's easy. You just basically you're just hitting play and stop, and you're just leveling out the sound with the bass rig. And he said, "I can do that." And so yeah, he wound up doing that. I hooked up with a dancer that I used to also perform with another band, and she came out and she started performing some shows with me. And I booked my second show in a place called the Blue Room, which is it was like next to a strip club in New Jersey. And the promoter that worked that venue, he also ran a record label. And he was like, "Yeah, what you're doing, it's pretty different. It's cool. I dig it. Would you want to sign with the record label?" And I thought about it, and I said, "No, because I'm just doing this as a goof. It's not serious." And I went home, and it kind of thought about it for a while. It took me about a month, and then I called him up. I said, "All right, let's do it. Sign me." So I signed my first record deal, and I released this thing. It's called Basic Evil, Cyanide Bass Solo Project, Basic Evil, from Cataclysm Records. And this was my first time signing with a label with anything I've done. And I would say it was an excellent learning experience.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from this. The biggest takeaway was I can do this myself.
Yeah, you don't need a band.
Yeah, I don't need to sign with a label. I kind of just paid attention to what they did. And if you do the work and you do the research, you can pretty much do for yourself what a label will do.
Yeah.
So I released a second album and an EP, all self-released. And so, yeah, here we are now.
Yeah.
About 6 years into this, almost 7 years into this, and yeah, it's going strong.
Yeah, I mean, and it is refreshing to experience something like what you do, and I think it's interesting you do mix it up well between that really heavy sound. There's some really heavy sort of kind of on the metal side of things, but then I've heard some really beautifully melodic stuff from you, and I think that when you're doing that melodic stuff, there's such a brilliant sense of melody I get from you, which I've not really heard. And obviously with bass you're not going to get that whole guitar solo thing going off, so I think maybe you think that could possibly focus you more on maybe melodic rather than sort of just a technical display of how many notes you can play in a second.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that, because when I started this, I'm just a bass player. I was the guy off to the side holding the rhythm section with the drums, and that's all I really was. And when I started to do this, I said, well, am I good enough to be calling myself a bass soloist? I mean, you've got these guys out there, Les Claypool and Billy Sheehan, who will, that guy has giant tarantulas for fingers.
Yeah.
And, I was like, I don't know if I'm that good. So I kind of pushed myself to be flashy, be as heavy as possible, lots of effects, a lot of wah-wah pedals, because I'm the only instrument, aside from the backing track, I'm the only real instrument there. So I would try to make it as big and heavy and outlandish as possible, and push myself to play better. And it worked for the most part. I learned a lot. I learned sweep arpeggios, and my slapping got crazy. And then once I did learn it, I was not as impressed with it. Once I discovered how kind of easy it is.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know what? Let me tone it back. And when I released the EP, it's more of just kind of songwriting. It's less flashy. It's more of just trying to write a song and trying to make it catchy and try to make it something someone's going to remember instead of all kind of nonsense. And
Yeah.
so yeah, moving forward, I'm trying to push for more of a post rock new wave kind of sound. And I've already written the first song, and it came out exactly the way I wanted it. It kind of reminds me of, I guess maybe when in the mid '90s when all the bands were doing dance remixes of their songs, and it's kind of more in that vein. It's more laid back, and that I think that's my next approach on the next album. Yeah.
I've not got through all of your material yet, but is there any occasion where you do add vocals, or is it just
I've
always...
thought about it. I'm actually an excellent singer.
Right.
The issue is playing and singing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you need two brains, and I see a lot of people pick up on it naturally, and they're very good at it, and I just haven't been able to connect the two, where I can sing without screwing up the riff. And
I can do sort of very basic sort of do bass playing and, and guitar playing and sing, but and doing anything sort of vaguely sort of melodic, not or anything that isn't just a sort of eighth note rhythm, you know, you're really struggling there. Yeah. So also, when did you meet Cannibal Faye of Waking Dream?
Okay. Same place where I played my first show, which is Gussie's Bar. The promoter, his name is Ozzy Mortanis, and he contacted me and said, listen, I have this show going on, and you're going to fit like a glove on this show. Because he's you know, since booking my first show, he knew what I was all about. And so I was looking at some of the bands playing the show, and Cannibal Faye of the Waking Dream was one of them. There was another band called Dark Reverence, which was kind of similar to what I do, but it was more of in a black metal realm. Yeah, so I really didn't know any of these people. I showed up and immediately impressed by seeing Cannibal Faye of the Waking Dream. They were some of the nicest people I ever met. I really, really loved their music.
Yeah.
And I knew going forward that these were the people, and this is the type of music. If I'm going to perform out, this is the band I want with me. You know what I mean?
They've got something very special and unique to them, which I mean, I was instantly struck by when I sort of found them on social media, and then we ended up playing Canada together just through some sort of crazy idea of mine. Also, we should mention Flesh Junkies, who are also on the lineup. So they seem like tremendous fun. I've been having a look at their videos.
They put on a wonderful show.
They look like they'll just be the absolute best time. I feel really, really positive about this lineup, because I just think these look like sort of more my people than the people around here a lot of the time. Tell us about Flesh Junkies a bit.
Flesh Junkies. Okay, there was a band on tour called Mr. Fang and the Dark Tones, and they're like a horror rockabilly band. And my friend Frank Wood, who's a promoter in Manhattan, promoting since I would say the mid '70s in Manhattan. He put the show together, and I guess he booked part of their tour, and he had Flesh Junkies along with them on a show called, there's a place called the Parkside Lounge in Manhattan. And I had contacted Frank because I'm trying to fill up some dates in October, because Halloween is, of course, when I play most of my shows. And there's most activity going on for me. So he put me onto that show, and immediately when Flesh Junkies played the first song, I was like, okay, these guys are great. They're like a rockabilly horror cabaret kind of thing, and
Yeah, but with
the
they've definitely got a certain realistic sort of sense of humour to a degree
yeah,
about. And there's just that slight touch of camp to it, which makes it just that little bit more acceptable. I think it's not going too far into totally silly, but there's just like clearly not totally 100% serious and not actually sort of buying into the whole vampire zombie gimmick.
well, yeah, they're horror, but fun
Yeah,
horror, like
yeah,
kind of like the
definitely.
monsters, the monsters or Adam's Family
Yeah,
kind of
very
thing.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
they were a lot of fun,
So looking
and
forward to them. Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be a very very cool show. I'm psyched to play it.
Yeah.
Psyched to meet you.
I
And yeah, it's gonna
what
be great.
and obviously, what on earth made you think it was a decent idea to actually work to try and get a show for me there?
Well, I mean, if you're coming to New York, you got to play,
Yeah.
and you got to play with me.
Well, obviously, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah,
We should also talk about your bass. You is it? I know you've had 6 string, but now I've usually seen you with the 8 string, which taking the sort of 12-string guitar principle of the sort of slightly thinner string and thicker string sort of thing. So, how did you end up with that bass guitar then? And what attracted
yeah.
you to that? And how does it shape the sound being like that?
It's a very good question. Okay, so if you're familiar with an 8-string bass, it's a traditional 4-string bass, but it's got I would say like an octave string
Yeah,
next to each string, which gives it it's almost like a guitar and a bass at the
yeah,
same time. It's got this very unique sound, and it fills a gap, I
yeah.
guess.
I suppose it
Um,
does away with the
yeah,
need for any guitarist that way.
right. Well, I think from what I heard, the person that invented the 8-string bass, I think it was the guy from Cheap Trick,
Right, yeah,
and yeah, and they did it because when the guitar solo would start, there was like this emptiness. So the bass player kind of did that to fill in for the lack of, I guess, rhythm or rhythm guitar. But that's at least the story I heard.
yeah. Is it
Yeah.
harder to play with having to cover 2 strings at all, or does it really not make the hugest difference?
It does to me. It's pretty simple.
Yeah,
It's the same as playing a regular bass.
yeah.
Um, I like to make things difficult for myself, so
Yeah.
it's
If you're not challenging yourself in some
quite naturally.
fashion, what's the point if you're not sort of trying to find new
Yeah.
ways of doing things and that sort of thing? Also, I want to say that just in terms of perhaps sort of personally, you always seem to come across on Facebook as such an incredibly positive person, which someone involved in these sort of more, I suppose, darker and underground scenes, you wouldn't necessarily expect that. But there seems such this sort of positivity radiating from it. I don't know whether it's sort of it's something you put on for yourself as well, sort of thing, like
Yeah,
to get through thing. But I find there's such a sort of positivity I found from, and especially also in the way you fought to really really work hard in no time at all to try and get this show doing. But that, like, you're doing these live streams early on Sunday morning, I think it is, and that sort of thing. So how on earth do you keep that going, this sort of sense of positivity in these often bleak times?
Well, you have to. Like you said, these in this day and age, it's very easy to watch the news, look at social media, and see all that negativity, and just have it affect you. You gotta to function. You've got to have a good sense of humor.
Yeah,
I believe you gotta laugh if you're gonna just to get through. I mean, like I said, very simple to get caught up in that negativity. Very, very easy, rather. But if I'm going to be alive and continue to play music, I want to enjoy my life. I want to have
Yeah.
fun, and I want everybody involved to have fun. And yeah, that's. I think
So
that's.
how
a
did
good way to-
how did your Sunday live streams start?
Okay, that's a good question. As I was saying earlier, I've always been the bass player, the guy off to the side, the guy that didn't talk. Um, if I'm gonna front my own band, I got to break out of that. The live streams really helped me to break out of that, communicate on social media, not just to let everybody know what I'm doing, but also just to help me become a better front man, to better connect with people. And that's been very instrumental to me, very therapeutic for me,
Yeah.
instrumental for me, to be able to do that.
Do you find people
Yeah.
enjoy connecting with you on those live streams in that way?
As long as I keep it positive, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the minute I start getting doom and gloom, I think less people will want to
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah. And you
So
seem to
I
have
try to keep it fun.
and you've got quite a keen interest in using AI for a bit of art. So
That was unexpected.
I mean, you
That was
forever seem to be it's great. I love seeing the sort of fiddling about with your sort of AI avatar of yourself, so to speak. So
yeah.
so
I
tell
think
us
it's
more
good.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for getting some ideas out. I know a lot of artists, and they're very talented, and I know they're not too thrilled about this
Yes.
whole AI thing coming about. But so for me, I'm not gonna tell anyone or try to present myself as an artist in that aspect as far as creating artwork like that. But I think it's cool to get ideas and things like through the AI art, I've gotten some ideas for some costumes and things I want to do,
Yeah.
and some ideas I want to um, kind of get out there on stage and things like that. So I think it's good for that.
So when are
But I
we
would
going to
never.
see you set your head on fire on stage then?
Yeah, that's yeah. I'm gonna have to work on that one, but
That might take a
without putting myself in the hospital,
yeah,
obviously.
that might be
I can
taking
do this
things.
trick, but I can only do it once.
Hey, at least it'd be a memorable show.
Yeah,
To
maybe my last show.
and also just I think one final thing: how is the New York scene these days? Do you feel there is any kind of? I often feel that the UK tends to be not necessarily that much of a scene. There's a few bands sort of that will often be seen together, but I'm not sure it entirely feels that cohesive. Is there a sort of sense with the New York scene that it is like an entity, or is it just sort of whatever? I could imagine maybe it happens more in the US because of the distance between cities, but here we're sort of all intermingling all over the country.
Yeah, well, I can only speak for New York and the tri-state area. 'Cause
Yeah,
I don't venture out of that too much. Uh, it's a funny scene in my area where I am now locally. It seems it's mostly cover bands.
yeah. I
That's
think it
people
is
come out.
everywhere, really.
Yeah, it's mostly cover bands here. When you get into Manhattan, you have a little bit of a variety, which is why I fit better in
Yeah,
Manhattan. And there's a place called Long Island, and they've got a nice little scene going on there. It's a very diverse cover band and original bands. A lot of metal, a lot of hardcore bands, things like that. Um, I do play out there quite often, but it's very hard for me to fit in there. There's been some hit or miss shows out there.
yeah,
There's one in particular. people were screaming, "Get off the stage!" You know what I mean?
To some extent, I'd kind of love that. The worst thing for me is like an audience just not caring. I'd rather people be demanding I leave the stage than just sort of blindly. Rather have them drag me off stage. How's the scene is there much of a scene in Brooklyn where we will be playing?
Yeah, I think I think we chose well for this type of a show.
Yeah.
To play out. I think it is a Sunday. It is an early show.
Yeah.
So let's plug it for people who are watching. If you're in the New York area, especially Manhattan area, we've got a killer show coming up April 30th at Lucky 13s in Brooklyn, New York. And it'll be Chris Cyanide Bass Solo Project, me. We have Jan Doyle, the Jan Doyle Band.
Yeah.
We have Cannibal of the Waking Dream and the Flesh Junkies. It's going to be a very cool show. Get there early. Doors open 3 o'clock. First band on at 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. We gotta wrap it up at 8 because they have a second show going on after us. But I encourage people, come on out. What better thing could you be doing on a Sunday than seeing us?
Exactly. I mean, it's New York's first chance to experience insurrectionary near-futurism. So
absolutely.
Anyway, I really appreciate everything you've done in getting the show together, and also for spending a bit of time with me tonight. It's been lovely to connect with you generally. As I say, the sort of positivity that seems to come from being connected with you, it's a very enjoyable experience, and I'm very much looking forward.
Quick shout out to Liz and Lyra of Cannibal Fae of the Waking Dream. They're the ones that introduced me to you.
Yeah.
And I think they were very instrumental in making the show happen.
Yeah,
and,
I know. Huge thanks for their help too. Yes.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for joining me, and I'll see you in 14 days, it seems.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon. All right. Bye for now. to Mr. Hex that we would have a chat, so let's see if I can get him on the line. Right, let's see if Mr. Hex is available, because I promised him we'd have an argument about some films he's seen. In the meantime, we probably need to play some more videos. Let's have a bit of Flesh Junkies.
Said yeah.
I'll say yeah, yeah.
Said yeah.
I'll say yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Say yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, thanks so much.
Cannibal for Waking Dream playing in the background, apparently. Yeah, so if you've missed all that, oops, never mind. Fortunate I've got my side recording, I guess. But so hopefully people picked up on some of that anyway. Probably not. Anyway,
I liked it so far. That's the. I think I just I liked it.
Hugh Grant, Andrew, Mr. Hex, particularly impressed with him in it. Andrew also feels that it possibly missed some of the things that D&D should have. But anyway, yeah, I'm arguing that Hugh Grant's performance is kind of a bit out of a draw now. It's a performance that he does, and that's what it's kind of one of the set things, and it's kind of a bit obvious. And that I found, and I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the film. What I would say is that it's just fine.
I think expectations were pretty low because of the original one, which of course, when I was talking about, oh yes, there was one in 2000 with Thora Hird, and I said Thora Hird instead of Thora Birch. That would have made a very different D&D film with Thora Hird in it.
That I would like to see.
And there's the straight to DVD ones, like the Book of Vile Darkness was the best of the. I think there was 3 of them, but they still weren't stunning. So I think expectations were pretty low, but I think they did a good job with it. I think they did a good job. They got the spirit of a D&D game not like the entire property itself. Let's say some things were missing from it, but they've got the spirit of a D&D session, which is largely bickering and failing miserably, and then accidentally doing something well.
Yeah. I did say, I think at the time, that it's the most D&D session like the D&D film that there has been. It's the one which most felt like playing D&D for a lot of the sort of bumbling about and sort of bickering. There seems some controversy over the gelatinous cube incident, where some argue that
why
some argue that they couldn't have possibly survived that time in a gelatinous cube, but then the D&D film writers, I think it is, have said that they each had about 42 hit points, so they could have survived for 10 seconds or something.
I love it. They measured their hit points.
Yeah, because they're about level 9, I think it was said, so they could survive something like a minute in a gelatinous cube. Because as everyone knows, a gelatinous cube, which was just a gelatinous cube which didn't move, everyone knows that a gelatinous cube will sort of be made of acid and stuff and dissolve you. Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. I think the cast made it for me in terms of them carrying it very well. It's clearly ridiculous material. You all sort of know how it's sort of going to play out, but I think they carried it really well. My favourite is Michelle Rodriguez in it, because I thought she was a great barbarian. I thought she was great casting for a barbarian, and I really liked it. It was nice. It's
nicely done.
Good breezy fun, but something doesn't entirely sit right with me with it. There's something there which I tend to feel, in a way, sort of compared to the Willow series, which I absolutely adored. There's something lacking in a way from the D&D movie. It all feels like it's a bit too sort of carefully thought out, whereas the Willow series seemed to come more from the heart. And the way Willow really, really connected with me, even from the first episode, so, comparing sort of kind of like for like there, the Willow TV series, it's even more surprising it connected with me when I've no like for the original film. I just loved this new. It's got a similar tone as well, in that it's got that...
I liked it. Yeah, it's got the same sort of the group dynamic between the very mismatched main characters. I get you with that on the Willow thing, but I do think that with Honor Among Thieves, the makers wanted to appeal to a non-D&D audience as well, and because if this one didn't land well, there wouldn't be any others. Don't know if there will be any others, but it seems to be doing all right.
I'm pretty sure there will be.
I hope so, because I like that group, but I do think that there were some corners. There were some corners shaved off of the source material in order to make it connect with a wider audience that has never sat around a table throwing dice and swearing at paper.
Yes, I mean, it's interesting. Well, swearing at dice usually, but
well, yeah.
But it's interesting how Chris Pine's bard didn't actually seem to have any bard magic, which was...
No, he didn't, did he? He got by on his wit. It was very much in the vein of his Captain Kirk.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying the film isn't good fun, but it all felt just a little bit too surface compared to, say, the Willow series, which was of a similar tone. And I just felt like I'd seen all this so many times before. That's only a slight problem. It just felt a bit...
I think Willow as well had a bit more space to breathe.
Yeah, obviously being...
it wasn't a feature.
Being like
I get what you mean.
Part series, but I think sometimes... I think Chris Pine was sometimes a bit of the weak link for me. I think his sort of very wisecracky kind of character was maybe a little bit too much at times. I don't know. I mean, I did enjoy it. It passed the time very well. I didn't really feel it was too long, even though it was quite long. It's got some great set pieces, and it's quite fun when you hear about the ways in which it did very, very much follow the rules of D&D.
Yeah, it totally does in many ways. I mean, there are little nods that aren't really made a big thing of, like visually you see a Vorpal sword.
Yeah.
At one point and it's a big thing in D&D, but none of the main characters use one, but there is one visible during one action sequence. It's like, I see what you're doing there. I think it came out well. It could be better, but it could have been a lot worse. I mean, I've seen the previous one.
I mean, I saw the first Dungeons and Dragons movie at the cinema, and my God, that was terrible. But it was
awful.
It's hardly the third D&D movie, which Joel loves to bits.
Yes, I know Joel loves it. I like the Book of Vile Darkness, but I know why he likes the Book of Vile Darkness.
It really isn't that great, but, there's certain reasons. But anyway, I feel we're going to sort of disagree more strongly about the Mario movie, which follows.
Go for it.
Right.
I liked the Mario movie to a certain extent. But I think it was the stuff that happens in it was all too convenient, and for anyone that hasn't played the games, like any of the games, I have, but I think for any audience member that hasn't played the games, they would be very, very confused as to what the hell is going on.
Very much.
Go on. What did you think of it?
I thought it was trite, basically. It's not without merit. It's got its moments, but the problem is it's nigh on got no plot. It's just a way of displaying various Nintendo IP on screen to fulfill a checklist, basically.
It's a greatest hits.
Yeah, and it's just sort of the way things happen in it. Like, he arrives in the Mushroom Kingdom and is instantly taken to see Princess Peach, and
she immediately gets on with him and says, right, you're coming on this adventure with me.
Everything's very convenient, and then it just sort of jumps from set piece to set piece, and each set piece is just a reflection of part of one of their games. So it's just like, it reminds me a bit of Ready Player One, in that was just, look, hey, do you remember this? Do you remember this? That sort of thing.
Ready Player One was far better as a book, especially the middle act. That was way better.
Heard it is a much better book, but the film was terrible.
What I will say about Mario is that one of the big set pieces, I won't mention which one for people that haven't seen it yet, but is stolen directly from Sonic 2.
Yeah.
That came out not so long ago with Jim Carrey in it.
I couldn't watch Sonic 2. I just could not stand to be in the cinema with it. I really wanted to. I mean, I did manage to sit through the first Sonic movie, but 2 just gave me such a headache. I literally could not stand to stay in the cinema with it on. It just drove me absolutely
I quite liked it, but I did see it with the kids and they liked it. But as with the Sonic 2 one, the Mario one, it's definitely a greatest hits package, and they've not really woven a story around the greatest hits package.
The story is Bowser is going to attack the Mushroom Kingdom, or unless Peach marries him.
Yeah,
that is the story, and so Peach has to go on a quest. But the quest just involves going from segment of a game to segment of a game.
The other one it reminded me of, I just remembered, Wreck-It Ralph. It reminded me a lot of Wreck-It Ralph, especially with the Mario Kart scenes. That's very much like the Sugar Rush stuff in the Wreck-It Ralph movies. But it's all right. That's the thing. It's passable, but
I don't think it's even
knock
passable.
It out of the park in any way.
And the thing is, the audience that I saw it with, there was a lot of. It was absolutely packed out cinema in Castleford, and it was. I wish I'd realised it was like a bank holiday Monday or something when I went, because it took me about 15 minutes to get around the car park. But anyway, but it was a very busy screen, but the kids weren't really into it, and they were just sort of running up and down the aisle and in and out of the screen all the time. They weren't really bothered. But the thing is, I think maybe Mario isn't really for kids so much anymore.
No, was it like 1985?
Yeah,
it was the first Mario game, and he showed up first in Donkey Kong.
Yeah, it's getting a bit stale now, so the kids aren't really that interested in it, but the parents have taken them to see it anyway.
I know it's done pretty well at the box office, but I think a large proportion of that will be adults that are accompanying kids.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
getting a rating on IMDb of like 7 out of 10, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem to justify
I wouldn't
that.
have gone that high myself.
I
mean,
gave
it was watchable.
I gave it
was
2 out
watchable,
of
but
5. So
there you go.
I
It
don't.
was it's watchable, but not brilliant. I saw it the day after D&D as well, so I saw D&D, which I did like, and saw that. I was like, oh no, there's no dynamic here. I mean, it's they're two very different things. One's live action, and one's purely animated. But and Luigi didn't do anything. I was looking for a big Luigi moment.
Is just sidelined
coward.
instantly. It's just terrible. Yeah,
He's sidelined instantly. It's like, oh right, he's in Luigi's castle now.
Couldn't
Oh
they
right,
have
there's
sort of
Donkey
worked
Kong.
it into the plot more, that they sort of interacted more? I mean, yeah, they're fetching him in for the final set piece, but that's it. And I
Yeah.
suppose Bowser's song was kind of okay, but it was just sort of shuffling from that sort of moment of gaming to moment of gaming, and that just that really annoyed me, that there was just nothing there really to. I mean, it was like,
Of all that though, I think the Mario Kart set piece, I really liked that just because it was so kinetic and fast, and there was a lot going on there, and that was quite satisfying and exciting.
I found it quite boring.
But around it,
'cause
it just didn't get me.
I just thought that not a great deal really happened of any great consequence in it, and like everything just was all so incredibly convenient in it, and there was no character to any of the characters. I mean, the thing is, Mario
No, not at all.
and Peach sort of barely said anything that gave them personalities at all, and I
Or
think,
any form of connection.
no, I mean, I think nothing to make you care about anyone. So that was a big problem for me, and things just, as I say, happening too conveniently. So
I think one of the things as well is we are now at a point where cutscenes in games look like that. So
Yeah.
it felt like a very long cutscene.
even the games themselves can kind of look pretty much like that. So at times it's just like,
Yeah.
am I just watching someone playing the game? Yeah.
Is this Twitch? I'm in the cinema.
Yeah, I mean, at first it's kind of got a few good moments, like some of the fun when you're seeing Bowser's first attack on
Yeah.
the place, and they sort of they have a very pathetic attack, and they say that, and it's like the people who are defending, and they come out with the line of, oh, you don't want to face off full fury, and that's
Yes.
kind of funny because their fury is clearly quite pathetic and useless. But yeah, didn't hand together at all for me, and I just felt it was just rather a waste of time.
I do think with that one as well, it didn't have, like I said with the D&D one, that had quite an expectation to be better than what had come before. I don't think this one really did, because a lot of the audience that would be seeing it wouldn't even know that the live action one existed.
No.
Which I did see at the cinema in the 90s and
Yeah,
didn't
me
mind.
too. I kind of like it. It's kind of cyberpunk and cool.
Yeah, when you go to the all the city stuff in it, and all the kind of
And
grungy
it's
industrial aspects of it.
It's an atrocious Mario movie, but
Yeah.
it's kind of a fun cyberpunk 90s movie.
I like the when they get where it explains how they can jump high by having the big like cyberpunky machinery boots on.
Yeah,
It was. I didn't mind it,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
I don't
I
think
mean, it's
that
got-
most of the audience had seen it.
I mean, obviously it's a much reviled movie, but I have just seen Theodore Rex, so pretty much anything's better than that.
Oh
right?
God, I saw you'd watched that. I think I saw that in the 90s sometime, or whenever it came out. But I remember seeing it and thinking, "Yep, I see why this has gone straight to video."
It's like, who on earth greenlit this? So
Yes, exactly. But this is what we do. We suffer through these things so that
Yeah.
others don't have to.
Indeed.
So that we can save them the hassle. We are carrying out a public service.
Yes, indeed. I know. I think sometimes I think you plumb worse depths than me by your full moon obsession. But I don't know. I go to some pretty dark places, it has to be said.
I make no bones about that. I
mean,
do watch some absolute junk.
I mean, I suffered through Baby Secret of the Lost Legend, which was utter tripe. So, but anyway, there's other things that need to be doing. So I'll let you disappear off into the night. So everyone check out the Planet Hex channel and check out his lovely new music he's recently put out there as well.
Thank you, buddy. I hope your gig over in the States goes brilliantly, as I'm sure it will.
Yes, and most importantly, meeting up with the lovely Gwendolyn.
So, oh, that too.
Yes, yes.
Of course. Give her my best. Make sure you give her.
I'm only going over there to meet my girlfriend, you know.
I'll give her my best.
Nothing important
there as well.
Yes, but I've got absolutely fabulous place to stay in. But anyway, all right. Yes, thank you for joining me. I think I'll play your music video, which I'll add in post because I want to get off now, and we'll have a bit of
cheers, mate.
Of Waking Dream in there as well. So thanks a lot, and I'll plug your channel and so forth as well with links and that sort of thing when I get this edited together. Right.
No worries. Thank you very much. You have a good night.
Building of your video store.
I'll get there eventually. Have a good one. Thanks, everyone.
Right.
Cheers.
Bye for now. So, yeah, that's got rid of him, right? Yeah. So, I'll just say, right, here's a bit of Cannibal of Waking Dream, and there you're all sorted, and you can have that. And now let's have a bit of Planet Hex. Mr. Hex is doing stuff, some music. And come to the show on the 30th of April if you're in New York, right? And that's all I've got inclination to do tonight, so that's it then. It's been chaotic and strange, but hey, there you go, that's how it goes.
Hawnt.